And once again, I'm just gonna introduce myself again. My name is Popo Leboy, and I'm an entrepreneur and working in the fields, working in different fields. But this session here, we will be talking about how to live your best life now. You know, how we can live our best life now. Life, one of the elements that really, impacts how we live and our ability to live life to the fullest and to do what we're supposed to do. There are many factors that we got to consider, just many factors for a human being to really be in his element. But one of the obvious things that you will notice is that when it comes to health, the state of health right now, national health, doesn't matter if it's Canada or the US or another country, you'll see that globally, national health is a huge question mark in terms of how people are living with different types of pains or illness or diseases and limitations and things like that. The level of inflammation is just so huge all over the world. Like, inflammation is everywhere. And again, we might be thinking, okay, so where does inflammation come from? Well, inflammation comes from the foods, just from the way we eat and the nature of the foods we eat. That is really what determines this huge, we can call it an epidemic if you want, huge epidemic of what we can call inflammation. Inflammation is all over the place. So it's definitely an epidemic, just like diabetes is another epidemic, just like high blood pressure is another epidemic, just like cardiovascular complications and cardiovascular issues are a huge epidemic, and obesity is another epidemic as well, and not forgetting cancer, which is also another huge epidemic. But there's another one that most people won't even think of, and that is accelerated and premature and accelerated aging at a cellular level. This is a factor that is really, causing many things to fall apart when it comes to health. So we have all these things, that have been ongoing, and we can trace it back to just how nature that God gave us as a pantry. See, God gave us an amazing pantry, which is the nature as we know it. I'm always shaking my head when I hear people glorify nature, even say, well, let's take Mother Nature. Well, nature is a tool that God gave us. So it's just funny how human beings will glorify nature and say, well, let's take Mother Nature. Well, almost like, okay, everything revolves on nature itself. Nature is a tool and that God gave us. And one of its purpose is to sustain life so that we may have a pantry, you see, where we can feed ourselves and then the food concept originally is a concept that revolves around the fact that the food you eat is supposed to be the medicine as well for your body. So if we're putting the right stuff in our bodies are functioning correctly, and our bodies are doing what they're supposed to be doing. So, and that nature, unfortunately, in the last few decades, that nature has been industrialized, meaning that the normal process for a fruit or a vegetable to grow and crops to develop, that normal process has been accelerated, because the more or the faster you can grow crops, the more money you can make because you can sell more. And that becomes a problem because whatever is being multiplied and accelerated and manipulated genetically does not hold the original signature of God, if you can put it that way. So therefore, when it gets into the body doesn't know what to do with that because it's not what God has designed for us in terms of foods. I've been saying this recently, you can fool your belly, you can fool your belly, but you cannot fool your cells. Your cells need to receive exactly that which was designed for the cells to receive. And this is where, we have a huge problem. So really what we have nowadays is a huge food, you know, um, issue, problem. I was looking for another word. Um, yeah, it's a food issue, if we can put it that way, because it's from the food we eat that all of these things that we see nowadays, you know, manifest. It's really from the foods we eat. And again, nobody's forcing us to eat these foods. It's really pretty much, you know, a free choice for everybody. But again, these choices are influenced by what is being presented in terms of, you know, the food distribution channels. What are they selling? It doesn't matter which grocery store you go, you're going to find the same thing. So it's almost like a dictatorship of those synthetic foods. And that's a huge problem, definitely. Now, how do you live your best possible life? You know, like completely free from everything that limits the body from functioning correctly, from feeling good. You know, how do you, you know, ensure that what changes you need to do to make in order for, just like the testimony we heard earlier, dizziness while he was even waking up in the night, you know, to go to the washroom, and now there's no more dizziness just because of a food change, a change in supplementation, receiving new vitamins and minerals that the body wasn't receiving before, and all of a sudden now that dizziness is gone. So how do we ensure that we can all live free from any, you know, from all of those things? You know, for some it's that dizziness, for some others it's pain, for some others it's the inability to do the things that most people would do just because they find themselves limited by something, you know, that they cannot control and that it's kind of over them. And then when you look at just the way the medical system operates in terms of the protocols that they use, once again, those protocols are pretty much there to kind of, you know, control, manage symptoms, and they're not using a protocol of completely eradicating, you know, a disease. It's pretty much all around, okay, prescribing something to manage, and then having people on prescription medicine pretty much all their lives. You see, so with this, how do you really build a hope? You know, in terms of, okay, I will at some point in my life live freely, that I can make projects, you know, and look 20 years ahead of me, and not have this little thought that, oh, is my body going to hold up up until that time? You know, how would you feel if you knew that you could make projects 40 years ahead of time? You could see yourself in 40 years without any doubt or worry, in the sense that, is my body even going to hold up 40 years from now? What if you could have a peace of mind that, wow, you know, that yes, indeed, you know, I can see myself, you know, do the long run. You see, I can see my children be established and my children's children be established, and I can even see the following generation. You know, it's all possible. But again, society has just accustomed itself to anticipate that at some point life has to be cut short, when it's not supposed to be that way. It's not the way our Creator has designed his system, and so it's not the way we're supposed to live. So there is a better way. And like our friend Michael was saying earlier, saying that, you know, what we're about to introduce to you is pretty much like he said new life, but it's a new way of, you know, living your life. Like we can really live our best life now, you know, and that's so important, to be able to live life to the fullest. You know, our Creator, our God, that's the way things were established. You know, that's the system. You know, the concept of life is supposed to be a concept of abundant life. That's the whole notion of life, abundant life. When it's no longer abundant, meaning that somebody has to go through life with limitation that is no longer what it's supposed to be. And I know we can always look at, there's so many different things, and that we can look at, and the common wisdom will want to make us think that, well, it's not always the same because there are exceptions and there's this and this and that. But again, there's always an explanation to why certain things are in a certain way. But it's also important for us to not limit ourselves in the way we think, and to truly believe that you can live a best life, really. Look at the testimony we just got, when we were told by our friend here that it took him 2 years to even consider this alternative that one of his friends was presenting to him. New vitamins and supplementation and put some new nutrients in your body. It took him 2 years to just come to the point that, okay, I'll give it a try. But after he gave it a try, 5 days later, the body already shows that something has changed. No longer dizzy. He sees that the blood pressure now is back to normal, when before it was still high despite medication, you see. So all I want to say is that version of us, that version of you to feel better, to live a better life than now is there. The knowledge is there as well. And the tools are there, because we do have tremendous products that will help you feel better, move better, you see, be better, and have a whole new outlook in life, and building a hope for the future. You see, that's the good news that's there. And that's what we're introducing. It's good news, not to try to, put some hype or try to sell something. No. If we're selling anything, really, we're selling, a new paradigm. We're selling new hope. And within that new hope and new perspective, somebody will find, okay, this is what I need. You're going to identify the tools you need. But this is really what it's all about. It's really to just help people educate. The more we are educated, the more, we'll get better. And the more we'll have a healing of nations and communities and families and all that. It's possible. It's already happening. Look at our friend's testimony. 5 days into taking, the products, and things have started to change. Well, imagine that same testimony at a global scale. How many people could be saying the same thing? You see? So everything can change, and everything is changing already, and everything will change. And that's why we're here.